What's going on, guys? All right, so I want to talk a little bit about a breakthrough that I've had recently, and it's pretty crazy because it's really changed the way I coach. It's changed the way I talk about things. So we all understand how movement happens with the gun, right? When you move, the gun moves, all those different things. But the more that I've incorporated in my training with the body, like actually thinking about the body, I started to realize how much of my shooting and my students' shooting is controlled by their body. And I don't mean hands. I'm talking about your entire body. From your shoulders all the way down is controlling your firearm. Especially in this sport. If you're standing and shooting, you're going to have a little less body incorporated. But even with leaning forward, more or less is going to change the way you can control that recoil, control that firearm. So this is when I started to really realize the more people that I've seen, especially recently, is the more I'm starting to realize how much their body or how much of a lack of body engagement they have. Now, one thing that happens when you start engaging more body movement or more body is you start to tense up. That's not what we're going to do. That's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is just angles of your body. All right? And I'll give you a couple of examples, and they're on complete different spectrums of what we do. So one is standing and shooting, one is moving and shooting, or even entering and any kind of movement. Okay? Great example is when you're shooting and you're standing and shooting. If you aren't leaning forward, the whole job of your entire job of controlling that firearm is trying to get the gun to return to zero. You are not going to stop the gun from recoiling. It's going to recoil. The difference is how quickly it returns from recoil and how consistently it returns to recoil. If you're standing straight up and your body moves a half an inch back, okay, half an inch is nothing. You will never return the gun back to the same spot, ever, because you now have added the recoil plus body movement with that. Not only are we talking about getting it back to the same spot, and now you're talking about time. How much does your head move and do the sights move when the gun's recoiling and both your head and the gun are moving? The other example I'll give you is when we're moving, entering targets, or really moving and shooting is the same thing, but let's just say when we're entering targets, because not everybody wants to move and shoot or feels comfortable with moving and shooting, so they don't have the experience that I'm talking about right now. When you're entering a position, if you have very long steps when you're entering and you're landing and instantly braking, your body moves forward or down or up or left or right. Doesn't matter it depends on obviously the way you're entering the position. But if I'm coming straight into a position, if I'm leaning my weight way back and my feet aren't underneath my body, now my body's got to come forward and stop, and that's when I'm going to pull the trigger. Well, what happens when I stop is the gun's going to end up going down because I've hit an instant brake instead of smoothly coming in, letting my feet get underneath me, and just walking into position. The more I do this sport, is the more I realize, especially coaching it, is the more I realize how much of your body is incorporated in your accuracy. Not just the accuracy on target, but your accuracy of being able to shoot sooner and consistently. While you're practicing, start thinking about where you're engaging your body. I'm going to post up at the end of this video here, or I guess I'll post it up in another video. I'm going to do a comparison video of a stage I ran yesterday and a stage I ran today while I was giving student a lesson. And it made a big difference on the makeup run that I had at the end of the day today during my training session with her. When I started to control my body more, I stopped just running into position and trying to shoot. I stopped focusing on the shooting and I focused on my body. I shaved off over a second on the run. I ran it a second time and I shaved off that same second, again, consistently, because I focused on my body movement, not coming into position and keep rolling through. I made sure when I entered, I was completely stopped. I didn't change levels, all because I focused on my body and not just shooting the gun. When you're watching your videos, look and see how much you go up and down, how much you go left and right when you enter a position. You'll see a big difference when you start to learn to control that in your times. All right, guys, if you have any questions, hit me up in those comments, and I'll see you on the range.